Greetings, kindred friend. There is a powerful paradox of life that we have often unintentionally forgotten. The very moment you have the courage to stop worrying, everything in your life will naturally begin to find its way back to its rightful, harmonious position. But before diving deeper into this secret, I invite you to perform a silent reconciliation with yourself right now. Take a very slow breath. Let your shoulders, which have carried too many burdens for so long, freely slacken. And let your mind stop chasing the ghosts of anxiety. Feel the life essence quietly flowing within you. My dear friend, the world outside is inherently a flow of impermanence. All things are constantly shifting and transforming every moment. The wisdom of the Buddha reminds us of a liberating truth. Suffering does not actually sprout from the hardships of life itself, but arises from the very cord of attachment that is tightly gripping our soul. Ask your heart, what if worrying has never truly helped you? And what if sacred letting go is the actual key to opening the door of true peace you have long yearned for? Tonight, I invite you to enter that journey of transformation, the moment when all resistance ceases and life begins to perform its mission of healing for you. Why does anxiety create suffering? Try to silently contemplate the image of a lake after a thunderstorm. The water suddenly becomes murky because the silt has been violently stirred. That lake is not actually broken. It has only temporarily lost its inherent clarity due to external impacts. Your mind works with a similar rhythm whenever you worry. In the Buddha's wisdom, the source of suffering, also known as dukkha, does not sprout from the hardships of life themselves. True suffering arises the very moment your mind begins to start the intention of resisting what is. We worry because we want to arrange this universe according to our will. We want things to be eternal, while the nature of life is to cycle. It is the strain of fighting against the natural flow that creates a silent tension in the nervous system, obscuring the light of clarity. I invite you to touch an ultimately liberating truth right now. You are not those anxious thoughts. Imagine your true self is the vast, silent, and eternal blue sky. And those worries and troubles, they are just clouds passing across your sky. Clouds can be gray. They can bring storms in rapid succession. But look closely. No matter how thick the clouds are, they have never once harmed the sky. And clouds never have roots to stay forever. They come according to conditions and must leave according to the law of impermanence. Etch this truth to soothe your soul every morning you wake. Your thoughts are never reality. They are merely strangers visiting the consciousness momentarily, and you absolutely have no obligation to hold them back and make yourself suffer. The illusion of control. Try to be still and look at your hands that have worked for over half a century. There is a deep-rooted instinct always silently operating within each of us, the desire to control. In a foreign land full of upheavals, we often mistakenly believe that if we prepare carefully enough, or arrange the future of our children and the stability of our health skillfully enough, we can buy a safety ticket against the risks of life. However, the wisdom of mindfulness reminds us of the law of anicca, the great impermanence. Look, your emotions change like the weather outside. The circumstances you once trusted also turn. And even the heaviest fear will naturally vanish when the conditions are exhausted. Trying to keep everything standing still in a universe that is inherently flowing is like trying to use your bare hands to stop a waterfall. The tighter you grip, the more exhausted you become. The more you impose, the narrower and more withered your soul becomes. Kindred friend, etch this truth to release yourself from all pressure. Life itself has never been unstable. It is your effort to control life that creates chronic stress. Happiness does not come from controlling the direction of the wind, but from the moment you stop arguing with the uncertainty of the human world. Tonight, allow yourself to loosen those weary hands so that life may perform its divine function of guiding you. The moment of sacred letting go. Silently identify the weight on your shoulders right now. Throughout years of wandering in a foreign land, we unintentionally wear a soul backpack filled with boulders named anxiety, responsibility, and endless cravings. We have carried it so long that we mistake that weight for part of our own flesh and blood. Tonight, I invite you to take the most courageous step of consciousness. Gently place that backpack on the ground. Do you feel the miraculous lightness spreading from your shoulders down to your heart? Kindred friend, empathize with this liberating truth. Letting go is never surrender, weakness, or giving up on fate. In the Buddha's wisdom, letting go is actually the act of ending the silent civil war within you. It is the moment you stop using your precious life essence to resist the natural flow of life. Imagine yourself in the middle of a rushing river. For so long, you have been exhausted by the effort to struggle against the current, to find a certain harbor according to your will. But the moment you courageously relax your body completely, you will be amazed to realize the very water you once feared and fought is now tolerantly supporting you and carrying you in the most leisurely way. Etch this sacred realization into your heart. The moment all resistance ends, the light of clarity will automatically manifest. When resistance ends, clarity appears. Letting go is not losing the world. It is the moment you return a vast space to your soul to see the truth. When you stop arranging life, life will begin to take care of you most fully. Attachment, the root of all worries. Try to look deeply into the most secret desire residing in your heart at this moment. In the profound wisdom of the Buddha, there is a concept called tanha attachment, the thirst to possess and maintain everything according to one's will. This is the invisible but sturdiest cord binding your soul to the loop of anxiety. Living abroad, we often unintentionally nourish attachment to perfect images. We need our children to be successful according to standards. We need an absolute guarantee of health in old age. Or we need recognition from the community for our hearts to feel settled. We mistakenly believe that we must have those things for peace to appear. However, the reality is that the very idea of must-have is what is silently draining your life essence every day. I want to invite you to understand a subtle but liberating boundary, the difference between attachment and intention. Attachment whispers in your ear, I must have this result to be happy. Conversely, mindful intention gently advises, I will head toward this good thing with a calm soul. When you attach, you turn yourself into a slave of external circumstances. But when you hold an intention with leisure, you are the master of the journey. Contemplate the metaphor of the pure lotus radiant in the middle of a lake. The lotus grows from the dark mud, relying on the murky water, but not for 1 second does the lotus let the mud muddle its fragrance or burden its petals. Your life also operates according to that rhythm. The surrounding circumstances may still be full of undesirable things, but you can still remain pure and free, right in the heart of disturbances without being possessed by them. Etch this truth to soothe your mind. True peace does not come from achieving everything you want. It manifests the moment you are no longer controlled by the craving to have them. Tonight, allow your mind to be empty and still like that lotus. When you stop clutching onto the world, you will be amazed to realize the world suddenly becomes extraordinarily gentle and full of grace. 5 subtle rituals to end daily anxiety. Kindred friend, the Buddha's wisdom is not distant theory on paper, but streams of life essence that only bloom when nourished by your daily practice. I do not invite you to do anything grand. I only wish to give you 5 subtle rituals to leisurely protect your kingdom of peace. The first ritual, be a silent observer. Do not let yourself be swept away as the main character in the mind's anxiety movie. Instead of saying, I am worried, gently identify, an anxious notion is arising. When you name the thought, you create a sacred space so it no longer has the power to control you. The second ritual, let the breath be the guardian. Whenever your heart is restless, place your hand on your chest. Take a very slow breath through the nose and exhale very long through the lips. Mindful breathing is the peace command sent to the nervous system, helping to soothe stressed neurons and return you to original stability. The third ritual, see all things with the eyes of impermanence. Whenever a fear strikes, silently remind yourself, this too shall pass. Visualize the worry as a dry branch floating on a stream, It just glides past you and will vanish into the vast ocean. No storm lasts forever in the sky of your being. The fourth ritual: dedicate to the action and trust the result. Do the best you can in the present with sincerity, then stand aside for cause and effect to operate on its own. You do not owe the world perfection. You only owe yourself a total dedication and peace. And the final ritual: always ask, where am I, truly, right now? This question is the bridge that takes you out of the illusions of the future to return to the only true home, this moment. The present is the safe harbor that the ghost of anxiety can never reach. Just one slow breath, one moment of pausing, and you have officially begun the greatest healing for yourself. When the mist vanishes, the rebirth of life essence. Imagine the moment when the thick fog suddenly vanishes, making way for the radiant morning sunlight to shine across your garden abroad. When you courageously let go of the burden of anxiety, your soul will also undergo such a sacred and radiant transformation. Inside you, the mind is no longer a battlefield full of chaotic sounds of resistance, but becomes a vast, pure, and open space. The fear that has long played the role of the dominant ruler suddenly becomes small and weak before the power of stability. You find your clear self again, where life essence begins to circulate smoothly, nourishing every cell instead of the old, weary rigidity. And another miracle will manifest in the outside world. When the inner lens is filtered clear, you begin to see new paths, opportunities that haste had unintentionally obscured. You make wiser, more thorough decisions. Relationships that were tense suddenly become extraordinarily gentle and tolerant, because you no longer treat the world with fear, but with the freedom of a soul that has belonged to itself. Etch. This final realization for refuge, it turns out. This life has always been silently seeking ways to support you in every minute. It is just that now you truly have enough stillness to recognize that grace. Kindred friend, let your mind at this moment quietly return to wonderful silence, like a boat that is docked safely after a weary journey on the ocean of anxiety. Empathize with this final truth. You were never born to strain yourself carrying the universe, or have the obligation to arrange every upheaval of the world on your thin shoulders. You are present here to experience, to feel, and to respond to life with all the wisdom and compassion you inherently possess. The very moment you courageously shed the heavy cloak of anxiety, you do not lose strength. On the contrary, that is when you return to your purest and wisest self, where clarity always exists like the full moon, never harmed by any storm of the heart. Do not try to create peace, simply stop disturbing reality with the cravings of the ego. Before we say goodbye so you can enter a leisurely sleep tonight, I invite you to perform an act of sacred entrustment. Write down this mantra in the comments as a seal for the soul. I let go of control. I trust the path. That confirmation is the final safety command sent to the nervous system so that the life essence in you may flow radiantly again. Wishing you a life of freedom, a mind always steady, and a spirit always bright. Thank you for trusting and walking with me on the path of awakening. Goodbye, and see you again.